I am Hugin. Thought. Yours specifically. The only part of your mind Odin left you. Your memory waits across this island. My brother Munin. Reach the frozen passage before the blood moon peaks, or remain nothing. One problem. Fenrir's child guards the passage. Tonight it hunts the whole island. Can you outrun a god's wolf?
Your legs tremble as you push yourself up. Black water sluices off your tunic, heavy as iron. The wind bites instantly, cutting through the sodden wool to the skin beneath. Your fingers are stiff, clumsy on the cold rock.
The cold is honest. It kills what it touches, unlike the thing that waits in the dark. Which death do you prefer?
Around you, the shore is a graveyard of splintered timber. The Drakar's ribs jut from the gray water like the bones of a leviathan. Further down the strand, pale shapes lie motionless in the foam. Your shield brothers, washed ashore. To the north, the cliffs rise higher, a dark path winding up toward the high fjords. South, the shore curves away toward a narrow beach. East, a steep, treacherous track leads into a dense forest that swallows the light. Closer by, a smear of vivid red stains the black rock, a trail of blood leading up from the water's edge to something crumpled on the cliff above. The memory hits you like a blow to the chest. Rough hands, the smell of sour mead and unwashed bodies, the violation. It fades into the cold reality of the present. You are lying on black rocks, the tide tugging at your boots. Around you, the dead of your crew lie scattered like broken driftwood, faces pale and staring. The wind cuts through your soaked tunic, a constant biting reminder that you are still alive.
Men. Beasts in human skin, tearing at each other. At least the wolf is honest about its hunger. Do you remember who threw you overboard? Or just the hands?
The sun hangs low and pale to the south, casting long shadows across the wreckage. To the north, a path winds up toward higher cliffs. South, the shore curves toward a distant beach. East, a dark forest looms on the steep hillside. Closer at hand, a trail of blood leads up the rocks to a motionless shape above the tide line. You move among the dead, fingers numb as you work the clasps and knots. A heavy fur cloak, still damp but thick, comes loose from a bearded warrior. Better boots, sturdy leather with wool lining, follow from another. You strip them quickly, the cold driving you more than greed. Then you see him. Hakon. The beard is matted with seaweed, the eyes staring at nothing. But you remember those hands. The heat rises in your chest, pushing back the cold for a moment. You find a jagged length of driftwood,
sharp as a spear point. The wood sinks into his chest. Again. Blood sprays, hot against your freezing skin, dark on the gray rocks. You are not counting. You are not thinking. There is only the impact, the wet tearing sound, the red ruin of what used to be a man. When your arms finally fail you, you stand panting, covered in his blood, the wood shards slippery in your grip. He is barely recognizable now.
Vengeance is warm, isn't it? Warmer than any cloak. But does it bring your name back? Or just more blood on your hands?
You wade into the surf, the gray water shocking your skin like a blow. You scrub your face with numb hands, watching the red swirl away into the foam until only the salt sting remains. The cold settles deeper into your bones as you turn inland. The nearest tree is a stunted wind-bent spruce clinging to the cliff edge, its wood likely hard and frozen. You raise your hand axe, your grip slippery on the handle, and swing.
The axe bites deep, the frozen wood splitting with a crack that echoes off the cliffs. You strike again, and the stunted spruce groans, tilting.
One more blow and it crashes down, sending a shower of ice and needles across the rocks. You work with a fury born of the cold, stripping branches and hacking the trunk into manageable logs. In moments, you have a pile of wood enough to last the night. You stack the timber in a sheltered nook among the rocks, shielding it from the wind, and strike flint to steel. A spark catches the dry tinder, and flame blooms, hungry and bright. The heat hits you like a physical blow, driving the numbness from your fingers and the ache from your bones. You crouch close, the fire crackling, turning your soaked clothing into clouds of steam. For the first time since waking, the killing grip of the fjord loosens.
Impressive. Thor himself couldn't have felled it faster. Fire keeps the wolf at bay, they say. But does it keep the memories away?
The fire burns steady, casting long, dancing shadows against the black rocks. The blood trail up the cliff glistens wetly in the firelight, leading to the crumpled shape above. The paths out of the fjords remain visible north to the high cliffs, south to the beach, east into the dark forest. You work with the efficiency of a shield maiden used to making camp on raid. The hand axe makes quick work of the saplings, their green wood resisting for a moment before giving way. You wedge the poles into natural fissures in the rock, testing their strength against the wind. Then the frame goes up small, low, tight against the cliff face. You layer spruce boughs thickly, weaving them together, then pack moss and bark into the gaps until the structure is solid, a dark mound nestled against the stone. The wind howls outside, but inside, the air is still. The fire at the entrance reflects off the walls, trapping the heat. You sit in the dry warmth, feeling the last of the shivers leave your limbs.
A den. Not a hall, but it keeps the wind off your back. Will you sleep now, while the sun still climbs? Or does that blood trail still itch at your eyes?
You select 2 straight saplings from the pile, testing their heft. The hand axe makes quick work of the branches, sending green chips flying into the snow. You strip the bark and smooth the shafts with a jagged wood shard, rubbing the wood until it fits your grip like an extension of your arm. Then the points. You carve carefully, shaving the wood down to sharp, tapering tips. You hold one tip near the fire, watching the resin bubble and the surface blacken just enough to harden the wood without burning it away. The smell of scorched sap mixes with the salt air. You repeat the process with the second shaft. When they are done, you heft them. The throwing spear is lighter, balanced for flight. The other is shorter, stouter, meant for close work. You test the points against your thumb sharp enough to pierce hide and flesh.
2 spears. One for the distance, one for the throat. Practical. But remember, wood breaks. Bones break. Only the will to kill lasts.
You scramble over the slick rocks toward the shattered hull of the Drakkar. A length of tar-stained rope hangs tangled in the splintered gunwale, thick and still strong despite the storm. You saw it free with your hand axe, the fibers parting with a dull thud. Nearby, the tide has washed smooth stones onto the shore, river-worn granite, heavy enough to crack a skull. You select 3, testing their weight in your palm before cutting the rope into 3 equal cords. The knots are tight, the stones bound fast at one end, the loose cords gathered and braided into a single grip. It is a crude weapon, but the balance is true. You step away from the fire, giving yourself room to swing. The weight of the stones pulls at your wrist as you whirl the weapon overhead. The cords sing in the air, a low thrumming sound. You release one test, throw the stones fly straight, and strike a distant rock with a sharp crack. Then tumble aside. A second throw, and the cords wrap around a driftwood log, the grip locking tight for a moment before you pull it free. It will do.
A hunter's tool. Or a trapper's. Efficient. The wolf runs fast, but even the fastest stumble when their feet are taken from them.
You kick sand over the fire, watching the embers hiss and die until only gray ash remains. The warmth fades instantly, the wind rushing in to fill the void. You strap the hand axe to your belt, heft the close-quarters spear, and sling the throwing spear and bola across your back. The weight is comforting, a solid burden against the emptiness of your memory. The path north winds upward, a steep scramble of loose scree and frozen earth. You climb, breath misting in the cold air, the sea dropping away below you to your left. At the top, the land flattens into a rocky plateau, high and exposed. The wind here is a living thing, howling off the ocean with nothing to break its fury. The cliffs to the west plunge straight down into churning gray water, the spray flying high enough to taste salt on your lips. To the east and southeast, a dense forest of spruce and birch carpets the slopes, dark and forbidding. Southwest, the land slopes down toward the low fjords and the distant beach where you woke. North and west, there is only the endless gray ocean and the distant, unreachable mainland. As you stand scanning the horizon for any sign of smoke or life, a voice cuts through the wind from below the cliff edge to your west sharp, angry and desperate.
By Freya's blade! Is anyone alive up there? I swear by the Allfather, if I freeze to death on this rock while you lot stand around picking your nose...
Peering over the edge, you see a narrow ledge about 10 feet down. A woman clings to the rock face, her blonde hair whipped by the wind, a hand axe strapped to her belt. She looks up, spotting you, and her expression hardens from despair to fury.
You! Don't just stare! Throw me a rope or get down here and pull me up! Or are you waiting for me to fall so you can loot my corpse too? Who am I? The cold addled your brain along with your manners. It's Inga. We served under Jarl Thorfinn together. Or did you forget that too, along with your own name?
The woman below shifts her grip on the rock, her knuckles white against the gray stone. She looks up at you, squinting against the wind, her expression a mix of relief and irritation.
Less talking, more pulling. This ledge won't hold forever, and the tide's coming in. Throw me a rope if you have one, or find a way down here. Unless you want to watch me fall.
Inga, shield sister. She remembers you, even if you don't. A debt, then, or a burden. You decide.
You loop the salvaged rope around a massive, jagged boulder, testing the knot with a sharp tug. It holds. You brace your boots against the loose scree, leaning back with your full weight, and toss the coil over the edge. The rope uncoils like a snake, slapping against the rock face until the end dangles just above Inga's reach.
About time! A little lower!
You feed out more line. Inga's hand shoots up, gloved fingers closing around the rough hemp. She tests it, then hooks her arm through the loop, her feet scrambling for purchase on the slick cliff face.
Pull! And don't you dare let go!
The rope snaps taut. Her weight hits you like a blow, nearly yanking you off your feet. The wind screams, tearing at your clothes, trying to pry your boots from the ground. You dig in, muscles straining, the rock cutting into your palms through the gloves. Below, Inga is climbing, but the wind is fighting her every inch, slamming her against the cliff. Your boots find purchase in the earth, as if the rock itself is willing you to succeed. The strain on your arms is there, but it feels distant, a dull ache instead of a tearing fire. You lean back, channeling every ounce of your strength into the line, and Inga flies upward. She scrambles against the cliff, her boots finding holds that weren't there a moment before, aided by the steady, impossible lift of your pull. With a final heave, she crests the ledge and tumbles onto solid ground beside you, gasping for breath.
By Freya! I thought the rock would give. You pull like an ox, Chosen. Or maybe the Norns just decided I'm not done yet.
She pushes herself up, dusting snow and grit from her tunic, and checks her axe and knife with practiced efficiency. Her gray eyes meet yours, sharp and assessing.
I owe you. A life for a life. We square that debt when we're off this frozen rock. Now, where are we headed? That storm came out of nowhere.
2 warriors. Twice the noise. The wolf will hear you coming from miles away.
The wind continues to howl across the high plateau, but the immediate danger is past. The forest lies dark and inviting to the east, while the path south leads back down toward the low fjords and the beach where the wreckage still smolders in your memory. The descent is easier than the climb, the southern path winding down through scree and frozen earth. Inga moves with a warrior's economy, wasting no breath on complaints. Below, the low fjords spread out under a sky deepening to amber, the light spilling gold across the black rocks and the wreckage of the Drakkar. Your shelter still stands where you built it, a dark mound against the cliff face. The fire pit is a bed of gray ash, but the wood pile is stacked and ready. You strike flint to steel, and a spark catches the dry tinder. Flame blooms, hungry and bright, pushing back the creeping cold of the golden hour. Inga crouches beside the fire, holding her hands to the blaze, her shoulders slumping as the heat finally penetrates. The wind howls outside the shelter's walls, but inside, the air is still and growing warm. She looks up at you, her expression serious, the firelight reflecting in her gray eyes.
That's better. My fingers were starting to forget how to hold an axe. You really don't remember? Not even your name?
She shifts, settling onto a dry patch of spruce boughs, and begins to speak, her voice low but clear.
You are Odd, Shield Maiden of Jarl Thorfinn. We raided Northumbria together last summer. You took a Saxon's arm at Lindisfarne and laughed while he bled. You never boasted, but you didn't have to. You were the best of us. The storm, it wasn't right. One moment the sea was calm, the next the sky turned black and the waves rose like mountains. I saw things in the water, shapes, shadows. It felt like the gods themselves were angry at us. Or maybe just at you.
Angry or testing? There is a difference, Ord. Do you feel chosen or cursed?
Inga ignores the empty air where you're looking, her focus entirely on you. She pulls a strip of dried meat from her pouch and offers it to you.
Eat. We need strength if we're going to survive this rock. What do you remember of the wreck? Anything at all? The cowards. They broke the ship's law. The oath we swore to Thorfinn. To lay hands on a shield sister. They deserved worse than they got.
Inga's jaw tightens, her hand gripping her axe hilt until her knuckles turn white. She stares into the fire, the flames dancing in her gray eyes, seeing a different shore, a different betrayal.
Hakon, I remember him. Always boasting, always drinking. I wondered why he wasn't at the oars when the wave hit. You did what had to be done, Odd. The dead don't feel pain, but the living carry the shame. He won't be shaming anyone else.
Men. Beasts in human skin, tearing at each other. At least the wolf is honest about its hunger. It doesn't pretend to be your brother before it bites.
The fire crackles, a spark popping into the air. Outside the shelter, the golden light is fading, the shadows lengthening across the rocks. The wind seems to pause for a moment, as if listening to the confession.
We're the last, then. The only ones left to pay the debt. What now, Odd? We wait here for dark, or do we move while we still have light? That blood trail up the cliff has been bothering me since we got here.
The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in bruised shades of violet and crimson, before surrendering to the deepening gray of dusk. The wind shifts, carrying the salt tang of the sea and the faint, metallic smell of the blood trail that glistens on the rocks above the tide line. You feed the fire, piling on thick logs until the flames roar high, casting a flickering orange barrier against the encroaching dark. Inga nods approval, checking her axe and settling onto a spruce bough opposite you.
Wise. The dark belongs to whatever tore that body apart. Let it come to us if it wants a fight. We'll have light and steel.
The hours pass, The fire burns steady, a beacon in the vast, cold dark. The waves crash rhythmically against the shore below, a constant reminder of the ocean's hunger. Inga takes the first watch, her eyes scanning the shadows, while you try to rest, though sleep is elusive. When your turn comes, the fire has died to embers, and the world feels smaller, confined to the circle of light. The blood trail on the cliff seems to glow faintly in the dying light, a silent accusation. Inga is asleep, her breathing steady, her hand still resting on her axe hilt. You are alone with the fire and the dark.
The night is long, Ord, and the wolf is patient. Do you hear that? The silence. It's not empty.
A distant howl echoes from the forest, long and mournful, silencing the wind for a heartbeat. Then another, closer. The fire pops, sending a shower of sparks upward into the black void. The blood trail waits for dawn.
The sun claws its way over the horizon, a pale, weak eye opening on a world of gray rock and black water. The howls that haunted the night have indeed faded, swallowed by the morning mist that clings to the fjord. The fire has burned down to a bed of white ash, the heat gone with the dark.
Stupid bird? Perhaps. But the wolf does not fear the sun, Ord. It merely prefers the dark for its work. The light only makes it easier for you to see your death coming.
Inga stirs, groaning as she stretches her stiff limbs. She sits up, rubbing sleep from her eyes, and looks toward the cliff where the blood trail begins.
Morning! Still alive. That's something. The trail is still there. Red on gray. Whatever killed that man, it's heavy. Powerful. You want to look at it before we move?